Okay.
He's here, he just went in the restroom. Yeah, he's here.
Alright, we'll call this special meeting on June 4th. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Do you need to specifically call it to order? I don't know.
I call it to order on June 4th. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll do a roll call.
Campbell,
Yeah.
Rashano,
Yes?
Davidson,
Here.
Glass,
Here.
Cruz here.
I put this May 13th meeting on here, but we'll do those at
The next one.
the next meeting here in June. Public input? Nothing, hearing nothing, we'll move on. Obviously, the new business is the lawn maintenance. I got some bids. We'll open these, I'll go make copies so everybody's looking at the same thing.
Were those mailed or dropped off? Because they're supposed to be sealed bids.
I had 3 of them. So I did call Cynics, and I called Clark, and I put theirs in envelopes after the meeting the other day, but obviously these were printed on Facebook, so they're really not closed.
That doesn't follow the character of what it means for a sealed bid.
It's mowing lawn, we'll get through it.
But it was your very purchasing policy that stated,
Well, I wasn't looking at these as being $3,000 because it's
no, it's like
$500.
14,000 or 15,000 for the season.
But that came up at the last meeting, and furthermore, that was discussed when we were talking about the purchasing policy. It was not going to be the sum of a single service, that it was going to be the sum of the whole contract. And we had a whole discussion about that when we talked about the purchasing policy, and that you guys wouldn't do that. We also talked about having it be sealed bids, and if you look at those minutes that you said you erroneously put on here from May 13th, the motion was actually that this meeting would be to open the sealed bids. And yet the bid that went out to the Pinconning Journal did not require sealed bids.
the lawn was sealed bids. The ones we got were sealed bids.
Well, apparently your definition of a sealed bid isn't the same. Normally you drop a bid at any facility in an envelope, which is in an envelope. So when you ask for that, they put them in a double envelope, so then we stamp it when it comes in. They write sealed bid on the outside of that envelope.
It allows us to stay in compliance with the Sherman Act.
You wasted my time, Sam.
So, I will go make copies of these. Actually, the only bid we got for spraying come from Moises, and he emailed them. And I'll hand these out, because he emailed them, so I did make copies of them ahead of time. This is for spraying. There's two different ones, and I asked him to give me two different ones because I didn't know when the kids would be done with the ball diamonds.
So somebody was over there spraying last week.
I didn't hire anybody to spray.
No, I'm just saying, somebody was spraying under the bleachers last week.
So the one is for around the posts and the fences and the buildings, and the other one is the ball diamonds, and it's per spray job, because we didn't know if he was gonna spray twice a year, 3 times a year, or what it would be.
So does Trey Sinnott have an applicator's license now, even if he's working with Weiss Property Management?
No.
Clearly he is, because his email is listed here as the email to
That
contact,
is
so.
correct, but this is a third party that would be doing the spraying. So it wouldn't be under him. He asked them to give us a bid, and they gave us a bid, and they copied him on the bid,
But the contact email listed here is Trey Sinnott.
it's an email. No, it's their address, and that's here, Weiss's.
It says email
Email, Trey
tsinnick3
Yeah,
@gmail.com.
yes. He asked them to give us a bid. I asked him to call them and ask if they wanted to bid on it, and they said yeah, so they bid on it.
So is he employed by them?
No.
So,
He uses them as a sprayer. If he needs somebody to spray something, this is who sprays it. But it's the only one, it was in the paper even, to give us a bid on spraying, and there was nobody gave up a bid.
This isn't sealed bids. That's not how you do business. What? These are township envelopes,
that's what I thought.
every one of them.
No, not every one of them.
No, because I.
'Cause we- yeah, I took one and it was sealed.
Received as well. And I think, I don't know, Don or Shirley took them in last week and sealed it.
Well,
I can only speak for the one that we took in.
those three there are the same manufacturer. I don't know what we passed the purchasing policy for, if we're not gonna follow it.
Can I ask,
You're welcome to.
the point of the sealed bid is so that we don't know any of the bids until we open them, right?
So that we don't know anything about what's inside.
Okay, but if they've been posted on Facebook, that's something, I mean, that kind of defeats the whole purpose.
You know what? That's why you go back to these people and you say, I need sealed bids.
Okay.
They then do it.
Uh-huh.
They then take and put an envelope in an envelope. They drop it in the US mail.
But my point is.
They get the postmark right there.
My point is, they're submitting the same thing they've already submitted that's already out on social media.
Maybe,
Same-
maybe not.
So that's kind of beside the point. Our
No, I mean,
purchasing
what's the-
policy
Our policy
requires
says we have a
sealed
protocol.
bids. These original bids never even should have come in because we tabled the RFP, because
Okay.
we had not received any information. They were
But I guess
sought
my point is
outside
the
of
whole
that.
sealed bid process is, it's, what's the point if the information is already made public? I mean, that defeats the whole purpose of the sealed bid.
Well, we should have been following the purchasing policy from the start. We should have been following the
That still
motions of the
doesn't-
board.
That still doesn't explain that it defeated the whole purpose.
Then it never should have been sought without board approval. And it didn't have board
It should have
approval.
never been made public.
Well,
I didn't make it
I
public.
I
Make it
didn't say you
public?
did.
Yeah.
But making it public defeats the whole point.
that may be the case, but our purchasing policy is still there, and we should still do
But
our
what-
due diligence
you know-
and follow the rules. And you guys were all notified, I notified you personally via text, that posting in the Pin County Journal needed to be requesting sealed bids in compliance with our purchasing policy. I sent it to every single person on this board. so that everybody knew that our publication needed to ask for sealed bids. It was already a messed up process trying to get these bids because the purchasing policy was not followed from the start. We could have at least done the right thing at that point and required sealed bids.
If they really wanted the job, they'd turn around, they would seal them, make them back in, versus us putting them in an envelope and saying it's a sealed bid. That's not a sealed bid. That's not a legal part of the sealed bid process.
I called and spoke to them and told them and gave them the option, and they said they wasn't gonna change the bid. You can put it in an envelope or leave it the way it was, so.
You don't understand. I don't know what's wrong. A sealed bid process is a sealed, I made this comment when the ad was going in the paper that was supposed to say a sealed bid. So if said individual wants to come in here and take this piece of paper, fold it up, and put it in there, or said individual wants to make their bid $474 and put it in an envelope and seal it up, this is not sealed bid process. And that's what you guys, when you put together the purchasing policy, you put it.
When you say you guys, are you excluding you and Lori? Because we were all here and we all reviewed.
We were here and we
all
said
voted
the
on it.
sealed bid
And
process.
we
We
all
did
voted
all
on it.
vote, but the
Yes.
draft wasn't my draft.
I didn't say it was.
Okay, so I
But
supported
you
the
all,
draft
is
that
all
was
five
put.
of us.
I put this draft together, no.
It was unanimously approved that this would be our purchasing policy after having a work session.
And we're not even following it.
Exactly.
It's like toilet paper.
You wanna bid on, wanna look at the lawnmower bids?
That's what we're here for.
I think it should be tabled until we have sealed bids in front of us. True sealed bids.
So,
Because if there's 12 cuts and you take 12 times $605, that supersedes the threshold that you don't recognize.
so obviously Great Lakes, this is the gentleman that mows, or that plows our snow. And these are the cost per mowing. Now, they've all spoken about mowing, I think, 27 times, if I recall.
So, did you get a hold of A&M?
No, I did not.
Oh,
Theirs did not go in an envelope.
where is it?
Right, here's
Oh,
the
yeah, it's
copy.
right here, right here. Forgot, I copied that one ahead of time. I left a message and they didn't call me back, so I did not put it in an envelope.
Well, it should count, because if we're putting them in the envelopes, then they don't have to. Save them 10 cents.
True.
Did anybody provide proof of licensing, liability insurance at all?
No, but they know they have to, so whatever they accept is subject to that. So they all know that they have to. They asked if they wanted to send it in, and I said, as long as you got it, it will make, when we decide who we're going to choose, they will have to produce it. So, they all know it. So obviously, Great Lakes is 605. Cynics was 520. Clark was 550. Schwartz lawn care was 880 per cut. And that includes the baseball diamonds. Well,
So does A&M.
the cutting also, they all include the baseball diamonds when it comes to cutting the grass. So they all are the same bids. And A&M is $475.
Were we planning to take the previously drafted lawn mowing contract
Yep,
to apply to whoever is awarded the bid?
that is true.
And who's gonna cut the west side of the driveway? Because it needs cutting, just like our roadways do right now.
west side, well, there is a small spot that's cut with the lawnmower, and then the rest is cut when the ditch is cut out here in the front. And he is cutting the roads as we speak.
They're high.
So,
They're higher than the mirrors on my car in some areas.
but these bids all speak of the same thing, that's mowing the lawn only, around the buildings, around the poles, around the fences. There's no weed whacking in here whatsoever. They all know that they don't have to mow the bottom of the ditch out front, but they all know they have to mow on the other side of the ditch, out towards the road. They all know that the water tower is not in this, the inside of the water tower fence.
I'd make a motion to accept A&M at $475 a cut.
I will second that. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I obviously have concerns about this whole process and how it was done, but not specific to the motion.
I'll make a roll call vote on that then. Charlie made the motion, we'll accept A&M lawn care out of Bay City.
Does she know?
What's that?
You want a roll call vote?
Right, please.
Yes.
Davidson,
Yes?
Glass,
Yes.
Cruz, yes. Campbell,
Yes.
And then the only other bid I got for spraying, which I thought was quite reasonable, and this is for every time they spray around the posts. If you look at the second blue box, this speaks of the Roundup application, and the other one speaks of the herbicides around on the ball diamonds for the infield. So it's $250. And I spoke to the gentleman, and about 30 gallons should do the fences and the telephone poles.
We need it around the playground equipment, the second set in the back, because that
Yes.
back looks like gross. I wouldn't let my kids play there.
How frequently are you projecting this would need to be done? Monthly, bi-monthly?
Probably monthly.
I would say this spraying with Roundup, depending on what the weather does, probably 3 times at most. I mean, we may have him come stop a little oftener on the swing sets, but around the telephone poles and fences and that. I spray around my grass and around the shed net about 3 times. So I'm looking at about $750 for the fences and the posts and that. And then the infields are the same way, we gotta keep the weeds down in there.
About $825.
I'd say $825, maybe one extra mowing on the infield, or extra spraying on the infields, I don't know. Definitely extremely cheaper than weed whacking.
Well, it was a lot less than it was last year when you had it done. That was a much larger bill.
$1,000.
But that was spraying all the grass. And believe it or not, they failed to tell me that their dandelion killer for $1,000 covered almost 2 years. We ain't got no dandelions this year out there. So it was only $500 a year, but anyhow, I make a motion. We probably should do these separately. So I make a motion that spraying the fences for the $250 a spray job.
Conditional on proof of licensing and liability
Right,
insurance.
Right.
But
I think we have some that already invoiced.
I think
We
we
have
do.
to make sure it's up.
Tell you what.
Because they
It'd be up to date.
I'm gonna make a third motion, once we complete this motion.
Okay, well, let's, do I hear a second?
Oh,
Second.
Okay. And then obviously, this is subject to their licenses and their,
Well, that's what the third motion's gonna
We're on
cover.
this
Okay,
one,
well, did,
right? For
Are-
this,
right, the 250 for the,
Okay.
that's the only way.
did they provide you with the proper documentation and all that signage, so you have that on record as well when they sprayed the last time?
Yes,
Because law requires them to do that.
but I think their license might be yearly.
I believe it is.
So we'll get an updated copy to cover this. So it's been moved and seconded, we'll do a roll call vote on that.
Davison,
Yes?
Glass,
Yes.
Cruz, yes. Campbell,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
And then I would make a motion for the herbicides on the ball diamonds, which is this 275.
How many times is that gonna be applied?
I'm guessing the same 3, but this could be one more to keep the infields. This is strictly the infields, but this is.
But this basically is like 3 ball diamonds.
3 ball
Because the
diamonds.
fourth one is gonna be a grass diamond, period.
Right, right.
Because I actually been looking at what people are doing, and it's quite surprising how many have taken theirs, except for where you run your bases. This is actual grass, and this alone is being maintained outside. There's a school that put a brand new ball diamond in, and in year number 2, they stopped spraying the center and actually put sod in. So,
Well, we can look at that.
who seconded the A&M motion?
Nobody yet.
Oh,
No,
That's
it's
done.
Glass,
That's
A&M.
already-
that was Charles and Sam.
Okay, thank you.
Cutting the lawn?
Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
get that down here yet.
And then I made the motion then for the ball diamonds,
Okay,
and I haven't heard a second on that yet.
I'll second.
Okay. And we'll do a roll call vote on that.
Glass,
Yes.
Cruz, yes. Campbell,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
Davison,
Yes?
And I would like to make a motion. My motion is going to read that before anybody starts any kind of work, we need an employee pack for 1099 employees filled out. What is necessary for the federal government with an EIN, insurance certificates on file, and if there, I believe this is a DBA, this is a corporation, that we have the proper paperwork.
Well, if they have a state license, I would think they filed their proper paperwork.
Don't matter. That's what we got them people coming after us from workers' comp for, to the tune of wanting to charge us the highest possible rate on almost $90,000 in wages. So, if they want a job, they can show up and fill the paperwork out. That's my motion.
I'll second.
And I would say that should be a roll call vote.
okay, for an employment packet put together with 1099 info.
The federal form for 1099 with the EIN on it, because if you're writing them a company check, they have to have an EIN. Their social security does not and never would work. Then, their proof of insurance certificate for them having their liability. And that we make sure the proper form regarding workers' comp is filled out.
And any licensing is required.
So the current license on the Weiss contract will be in-house prior to any spraying. because we might have stuff on licenses from last year. But
It
technically,
needs to be updated.
last year's over, we're now in '24. It's a new season and a new day. And
We'll do a roll call vote on
Okay. Cruz, yes. Campbell,
yes,
DeShano,
Yes.
Davidson,
that. Yes.
Glass.
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment.
Okay.
This reluctance or resistance to following board motions and unanimously approved board policies is continuing. It happened with the survey with Pfizer, where board approval was not adhered to. It happened with these RFPs, where it was put on our agenda, but we received absolutely no documentation, so we tabled it, and then the bids were sought anyway, the same way they've always been sought, instead of actually following our unanimously approved purchasing policy. In the May meeting, the specific motion that was made was to include that this meeting would be to open sealed bids. Sealed bids, as Trustee Campbell said, are not bids that the staff here seals. Those are sealed by the people that are putting their quotes in. And this just continues to happen. We have policies in place for a reason, and they're supposed to be adhered to. And when it wasn't initially adhered to, the conversation occurred explaining how it needed to be adhered to. There was resistance to doing that when that publication was put in. It was not in compliance with the unanimously approved motion of our board at our May meeting. Then when you were notified, not only by Trustee Campbell, but also by myself via text, that this is how it had to be in order to be in compliance, it still didn't happen. And it should not have went down like that. So we're seeing this continued pattern of not adhering to the policies, of not adhering to the vote of the board, and just doing whatever anyway. That is not how this is supposed to work.
Duly noted.
yeah, but duly noted means we are willing to make a change. But there's been no change. It's like,
It just continues.
if you do the same thing you've always done, there's a definition for that. It's called insanity. Now, I'd like to think you are an intelligent business person. I would like to think that following the protocol is important. And when you were making copies, it was, well, this whole board approved the purchasing policy, and you're right. This whole board did. And this whole board laid out how that was supposed to be done in a meeting, and you basically spit in our face. Personally, Sam, I don't appreciate it. And I believe you should be sanctioned. I make a motion to censure you
I will
due to
second-
lack of confidence in the ability to follow the letter of the law laid out by the Board of Trustees.
I will
We
second.
voted.
I second the motion to censure Supervisor Davidson for not following policies continuously, not following the motions made by this board that were voted on, that were agreed to, and overall general malfeasance when it comes to these policies.
If you were my employee, I would terminate you for not following the protocol of our township corporation. But like always, you're just like water off your back like a duck. That's okay, but guess what? It's not acceptable. Sadly to say, this whole meeting, since it didn't follow protocol, was a total waste of my time by you. And I don't appreciate it, Sam.
There is a motion to censure on the floor. It has been seconded. And I don't believe that Supervisor Davidson can vote on that.
I'll vote and we'll check with our attorney.
No, you can't vote on any matters that directly pertain to you.
Greg was unable to vote.
That's a conflict of interest.
I think they let Sherry vote on the last board meeting, the attorney did.
That was different. That was different. And Greg was unable to vote when it was a vote of no confidence against him, and you had honored it at that point.
I don't know that I had all of what you said on this motion.
I'll just
That's
repeat
a
it
little
back
hard
to
keep
him.
up.
No, just read it back to him, what you
She
got.
said Campbell made motion to censure Sam for not following protocol.
Well, and what I said specifically to back up that with my second was repeatedly not following the
Purchasing
motions of
policy.
the board, the policies of Calhoun Township and general malfeasance in that regard.
Okay. And they have to be
You
voted.
want a roll call vote on that?
I think we have to do a roll call vote with
What do
Sam
you want?
abstaining.
Campbell,
Yes.
Shano,
Yes.
Davidson,
Abstain.
I'll abstain.
Class,
No.
Cruz, no.
Okay. I move we adjourn. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.